The observation deck of the ESS Horizon offered the most breathtaking view in human history in alien spacecraft. Hovering silently against the backdrop of Saturn's rings, Captain Elise Donovan stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her reflection ghosting in the reinforced glass. After 20 years in deep space exploration, she was about to become the first human to make official contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. Nervous? Asked Communications Officer Beckett, joining her at the window. Elise maintained her composed expression. Curious, there's a difference. The xenolinguistics team is ready. They've been analyzing the signal patterns since we received their first transmission. Dr. Okafor believes they're using a mathematical base for communication. Elise nodded. Deep space exploration had prepared her for the unknown, but nothing could truly prepare humanity for this moment. The alien vessel, if vessel was even the right term, resembled an intricate, crystalline structure that seemed to phase between solid and ethereal states, its surface rippling with bioluminescent patterns. "Status report," she commanded, turning from the window. "All systems nominal," replied First Officer Huang from his station. "The unknown craft maintains position at 3,000 kilometers. No detectable weapon signatures, but their energy readings are, well, frankly, impossible by our understanding of physics." Elise straightened her uniform. "Begin transmission sequence." As planned, mathematical constants first, followed by the greeting package. The bridge fell silent as Beckett initiated contact. The alien vessel's response was immediate, a pulse of light that momentarily overloaded the Horizon's sensors. "Captain," called Dr. Okafor over the intercom. Excitement evident in her voice. "They've responded with a perfect recitation of our prime number sequence, but extended it beyond our transmission. They're demonstrating superior knowledge."
"As
expected," Elise replied. "Continue with Phase 2. The next 12 hours passed in a careful exchange of increasingly complex communications. The aliens who identified themselves as the Verith seemed eager to establish a mutual language framework. By hour 15, Dr. Okafor's team had developed a rudimentary translation algorithm. "They're requesting visual contact," Beckett announced. Elise straightened. "Granted." The main view screen flickered before resolving into an image that caused several crew members to gasp. The Verith appeared humanoid in basic structure, but with translucent skin that revealed complex networks of luminescent vessels beneath. Their eyes, 3 of them, were positioned in a triangle formation, each one shifting color as they spoke. "Greetings, humans of Earth vessel." The translation came through, slightly delayed. "We observe your species with great interest." Elise stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth and humanity, we welcome peaceful contact with the Verith. We come with the intention to learn and share knowledge. The aliens' central eye pulsed. Knowledge is precious? What knowledge do you offer that we do not possess?" The question caught Elise off guard. "Our culture's art, science all offer unique perspectives. We have observed 17,842 sentient species," replied the Verith. "Most offered nothing unique before extinction." A chill ran through the bridge. "Extinction?" Elise kept her voice steady. "Natural progression. Evolution selects for adaptation. Species unable to adapt disappear. This is the way of the universe." First Officer Huang whispered urgently, "Captain, they're scanning our database. Our firewalls are being bypassed like they don't exist." Elise maintained her diplomatic stance. "We request you cease accessing our systems without permission. That constitutes a violation of trust between our peoples." The Verith's eyes shifted to a deep purple. "Trust is inefficient. We require assessment of your species' value." "Value is subjective," Elise countered, "and our worth isn't yours to determine." The alien's form seemed to ripple. "Incorrect. All things must be measured against universal constants. Species shows unusual characteristics, resilience despite inefficiency. We will study further." The transmission abruptly ended. Seconds later, alarms blared across the ship. "They've deployed something," Huang shouted. "Multiple small objects approaching our hull." "Defensive posture," Elise ordered, "but no weapons. We don't know if this is hostile." The objects each no larger than a coffee mugget, attached themselves to the Horizon's hull and began to pulse in rhythm with the larger Vareth vessel. "Their probes," reported Science Officer Werner. They're mapping us, the ship, our biology, everything." Elise's mind raced through protocols, none of which covered this scenario. First contact was happening on terms nobody had anticipated. "Send a message to Earth," she said quietly to Beckett. "Inform them we've made contact with an advanced species, called the Vareth, and tell them." She paused, watching as the alien vessel began to shimmer with increasing intensity. "Tell them to prepare for visitors." 3 weeks after the ESS Horizon's encounter, Earth's major powers convened at the United Nations headquarters in Geneva. Diplomatic officer Rohan Kapoor adjusted his formal attire as he prepared to meet the Vareth delegation. As Earth's foremost expert in negotiation theory, he had been selected to lead humanity's diplomatic efforts. "Remember, we know almost nothing about their true intentions," cautioned General Diaz as they walked toward the meeting chamber. Captain Donovan's report suggests they view other species as specimens to be evaluated. Rohan nodded. "Every culture views others through its own lens. Our job is to find common ground." The chamber fell silent as the Vareth representatives entered. Unlike the translucent beings observed by the Horizon's crew, these three appeared more solid, their bioluminescence subdued. Adaptations for Earth's environment, Rohan surmised.
"Welcome to Earth," Rohan began, executing a slight bow.
"We are honored by your presence and eager to establish peaceful relations between our peoples." The lead Vareth, who had introduced itself as Observer Thelixis, pondered in perfect English. "Your transmission systems are primitive, but adequate for our study. We have analyzed your global communications network and have determined Earth's hierarchical structure," whispers circulated among the human delegates. The Vareth had apparently mastered Earth languages simply by accessing internet data. "Then you understand our desire for mutual respect and sovereignty," Rohan replied carefully. "Sovereignty is an illusion of underdeveloped species," Thelix stated. "The universe operates on principles of efficiency and resource optimization. Your civilization operates contrary to these principles." General Diaz leaned forward. "Are you suggesting our way of life is somehow inferior?" "Not inferior, inefficient. Humans expend resources on emotional satisfaction rather than evolutionary advancement. This is unusual. Most species prioritize collective progress." Rohan recognized the dangerous territory they were entering. "It doesn't mean wrong. Diversity of approach leads to innovative solutions." Thelix's eyes shifted to a deep blue. "A hypothesis we are testing. The Vareth Collective has evaluated 17,843 species. 42% were deemed non-viable and removed from the galactic ecosystem. 37% were guided toward efficient development. Percent were preserved in controlled environments for study." The room temperature seemed to drop several degrees as the implications became clear. "And where do humans fall in your categorization?" Rohan asked, maintaining his diplomatic composure despite growing alarm. "Undetermined. You possess contradictory attributes. Technological progress despite fractured governance. Cultural diversity that should inhibit advancement yet somehow accelerates it. Emotional dependencies that appear inefficient yet drive innovation." Rohan seized on this. "Then perhaps there's something to learn from our approach. A mutual exchange of ideas could benefit both our species." Thelix's central eye pulsed. "We have arrived at a preliminary determination. Humanity will be observed more closely for 1 Earth year. You will provide access to all aspects of human civilization. At the conclusion of this period, the Vareth Collective will determine your species designation." "And if we refuse this observation?" General Diaz asked, bluntly. "Refusal indicates non-viability. Non-viable species are removed." The threat hung in the air, unmistakable. Despite its clinical delivery, Rohan stepped forward. "We request time to consult with our global leadership." "You have 48 hours, Thelix stated. "We will remain in orbit until your decision is rendered." As the Vareth delegation departed, chaos erupted in the chamber. Security Councils worldwide activated emergency protocols while scientists frantically analyzed what little data they had on Varith technology in a secured room beneath the UN complex. Rohan met with Earth's hastily assembled crisis team there, offering us a choice between invasion and subjugation. General Diaz fumed. Dr. Paulina Rivera, xenoanthropologist, shook her head. They're evaluating us by their standards. They genuinely don't understand why we would object. Their technology is centuries beyond ours, added Defense Minister Cheng. Military resistance would be futile. Rohan studied the Varith transmission patterns displayed on his tablet. There's something we're missing. Why invest resources observing us if they could simply remove us? There's something about humanity that interests them, or contradictory attributes, Dr. Rivera suggested. Perhaps our unpredictability makes us valuable or dangerous. General Diaz scoffed. Dangerous? Our ships could obliterate our defenses in minutes. Not militarily dangerous, Rohan clarified. An idea forming. Ideologically dangerous. What if our way of life challenges their fundamental beliefs? What if our inefficiency actually works better in some ways? The room fell silent as the implications sank in. So what do we do? Asked Minister Cheng. Accept their terms and hope for the best? Rohan set down his tablet decisively. We accept their observation, but on our terms. And meanwhile, we prepare. Not just militarily, they detect that immediately, but culturally, scientifically, and diplomatically. We show them exactly what makes humanity unique. He looked around the room at the uncertain faces. We develop contingency plans for the worst-case scenario. Because if the Varith decide we're non-viable, humanity won't. Go quietly into extinction. The Arizona desert stretched endlessly outside the reinforced windows of Project Bulwark's main facility. Engineer Talia Morgan wiped sweat from her brow as she calibrated the particle alignment in the prototype shield generator. For 6 months, she'd led the world's most secret technological initiative developing defensive capabilities against potential Varith aggression. How's it looking? Asked Director Kimothy, entering the lab with his ever-present tablet. Talia straightened, wincing at the pain in her lower back. She'd been hunched over the equipment for 14 hours straight. The energy matrix is stable, but output is still only 30% of what we need. The Varith observers keep asking questions about our power grid research. They know we're up to something. They're asking questions about everything, Kimothy replied. That's supposedly the point of their observation period. Keep them focused on the official quantum computing research. As far as they know, we're just improving our energy infrastructure. Talia nodded, though doubt nodded her. The Varith technological capabilities made human efforts seem like children playing with toys. During her mandatory interviews with Observer Nelix assigned specifically to monitor scientific developments, she felt like a primitive trying to hide fire from a god. We've got less than 6 months before their evaluation concludes, Kimothy reminded her unnecessarily. The predictive models suggest a 60% chance they'll categorize us as preservation candidates, rather than non-viable. But neither outcome is acceptable. I know the stakes, Talia snapped, then immediately regretted her tone. Sorry, I haven't slept much. Kimothy's expression softened. We're all feeling it. Any word from your brother? Talia's brother Julian served aboard the International Space Station, now hosting 3 Varith observers. His covert transmissions provided crucial intelligence about their capabilities. They're mapping our entire solar system, Julian says. They've deployed autonomous units to every planet and major asteroid. Whatever they're planning goes beyond just Earth. A security alert flashed on Kimothy's tablet. Varith, shuttle incoming. Neelix is making another unscheduled visit. Talia's heart raced as she quickly activated the lab's camouflage protocols, rerouting power from the shield prototype to their decoy quantum computing array. Seconds later, Observer Nelix glided into the lab, its 3 eyes shifting through colors as it processed visual information. Engineer Morgan, it greeted, its voice unnervingly melodic. Your thermal signature indicates elevated stress levels. Are you experiencing difficulty with your research? Talia forced a smile. Does the usual challenges of pushing technological boundaries? Quantum coherence is difficult to maintain in our current environment. Nelix moved closer to the decoy equipment. Your approach is inefficient. Varith methodologies solved these limitations millennia ago. Hey, perhaps you could share those methodologies? Talia suggested, knowing the answer. Knowledge must be earned through evolutionary progress. Providing solutions would contaminate our evaluation metrics. As Nelix inspected the lab, Talia exchanged glances with Timothy. This was the fundamental paradox of their situation. Varith judged humanity's worthiness while deliberately withholding information that might help humanity prove itself worthy. I have analyzed your personal records, Nelix continued unexpectedly. You have declined reproduction opportunities despite optimal genetic compatibility with several potential mates. This is inconsistent with biological imperatives. Talia blinked, blindsided by the personal nature of the observation. I've chosen to focus on my work. Having children is a personal choice. Inefficient allocation of genetic resources, Nelix stated. The continuation of advantageous traits should take precedence over individual preferences. Something snapped inside Talia. It's exactly the difference between our species. We value individual choice, even when it's not the most efficient option. Our inefficiency is our strength. It creates diversity of thought, approach, and solution. Nelix's eyes pulsed rapidly. Fascinating hypothesis. Yet historical data suggest your individualism leads to conflict, resource waste, and developmental delays. It also leads to art, innovation, and breakthroughs that might never occur in a purely efficiency-driven society, Talia countered. Our mesines is our advantage. After Nelix departed, Timothy approached Talia with concern. That was risky. Challenging their worldview directly could flag you for increased scrutiny. Talia turned back to the shield prototype, a new determination, fueling her. Or it could make them reconsider their evaluation criteria. Either way, I'm done pretending to be less than what we are. Humanity's supposed inefficiency, our emotions, our individuality, that's not our weakness. It's our secret weapon. She reactivated the shield matrix, watching as energy patterns stabilized at a higher output than ever before. And I think I just figured out how to make this work. Tactical Specialist Marcus Webb stood in the command center of the hastily constructed lunar defense base, watching as the holographic display tracked the approaching Varith vessels. The observation period had ended 3 days ago, and the Varith had withdrawn without announcement, only to return with what could only be described as a war fleet. Status report, ordered Admiral Henderson, entering the command center with the quiet gravity that had earned her the nickname Steel Grace. 15 Varith vessels in formation, Admiral Marcus reported. They've positioned themselves in a hemispherical pattern above Earth's northern hemisphere. No direct communications yet. No countermeasures. Organ shield technology has been deployed to major population centers. Space-based defense platforms are operational but untested against their technology. Ground forces are at maximum readiness. Henderson studied the display. In your assessment, Specialist Webb? Marcus hesitated, then spoke frankly. If they wanted to destroy us, they could have done it already. This display of force suggests they want something else. As if responding to his analysis, the main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. Observer Thelix appeared, though its form had changed now, adorned with complex patterns that pulsed along its translucent skin. Representatives of Earth, it began without preamble. The evaluation period has concluded. The Varith Collective has determined humanity's designation. Admiral Henderson stepped forward. And what is your determination? Humanity represents an anomaly in our classification system. Your technological development is insufficient for integration, yet your cultural and cognitive patterns display potential beyond standard metrics. You are designated as probationary sentience. Marcus exchanged glances with Henderson. This was a category they hadn't heard before. Explain this designation, Henderson demanded. Probationary sentience must demonstrate value through service. You will provide biological specimens, 10 million humans, for analysis and labor within the Varith Collective. In exchange, your remaining population will receive provisional protection until your next evaluation in 50 Earth years." The command center fell silent in horror. Henderson's voice remained steady. "We decline. Humanity will not sacrifice its own for any designation. Refusal is not an option," Thelix stated. "Collection will begin immediately." Alarms blared as smaller Varith vessels detached from the main fleet, descending toward Earth's atmosphere. Simultaneously, the defense platforms around Earth activated, firing experimental phase disruptors based on Talia Morgan's breakthroughs. "They're targeting major cities," Marcus reported, watching the tactical display. "Shield systems are engaged, but showing strain." "Deploy the Defiance Protocol," Henderson ordered. Marcus entered the command codes. "Activating Earth's last resort defense system, a network of quantum entangled particles that theoretically could disrupt the Varith's biomechanical technology." It was untested, based largely on observations smuggled from the Varith themselves during their observation period. On the display, several Varith collection vessels suddenly faltered, their ethereal structures distorting as the quantum disruption took effect. "It's working," Marcus studied. Marcus studied the readings more carefully. "Partially. Their biology seems affected, but they're adapting quickly." A new alert sounded. "Admiral, we're detecting a massive energy buildup in the Varith flagship." Henderson's face hardened. "This is it. It's a real attack." But instead of weapons fire, the energy manifested as a powerful transmission that bypassed Earth's communication systems, broadcasting directly to every electronic device on the planet. "Attention humans," came Thelix's voice, now strained. "Your defensive measures contain unexpected properties. They are causing cellular degradation in Varith biological systems. Cease deployment immediately." Marcus stared at the readings in disbelief. "They're vulnerable to our quantum disruption at a biological level. We've accidentally discovered their weakness." Henderson seized the moment. "Observer Thelix, we will cease our defensive measures on one condition. The Varith Collective withdraws completely from our solar system and recognizes Earth's sovereignty as an independent civilization." A long pause followed before Thelix responded, its voice modulated differently than before. "The Collective requires consultation. Maintain current positions." As the Varith fleet held position, Marcus turned to Henderson. "We didn't just develop a shield. We created something that fundamentally disrupts their biological structure. Something about our approach to quantum mechanics interacts with their physiology in ways they never anticipated." Henderson nodded grimly. "Humanity's inefficiency just became our greatest weapon. Let's hope it's enough to secure our future." The Grand Assembly Hall in Geneva had been transformed, where once human diplomats had gathered to meet the Varith. Now representatives from 12 spacefaring civilizations convened around a circular table. Dr. Javier Santos, quantum physicist, an architect of what had become known as the harmonic barrier, represented Earth alongside diplomatic officer Rohan Kapoor. 1 year had passed since the breach, the day humanity had discovered its unexpected advantage against the Varith. What had begun as a desperate defense had evolved into a revolutionary understanding of cross-species interaction at the quantum level. The Galactic Consortium appreciates Earth's willingness to host this historic gathering, announced Zeralia, representative of the Eltaran Dominion, one of many civilizations that had contacted Earth after the Varith retreat. For millennia, the Varith Collective has imposed their evolutionary hierarchy upon our galaxy. Humanity's resistance has created an unprecedented opportunity. Javier observed the assembled beings with wonder. Some resembled Earth creatures insectoid, reptilian, or mammalian, while others defied classification entirely, yet all shared one common trait: they had lived under the shadow of Varith judgment. Rohan addressed the assembly. "Earth didn't set out to challenge the established order. We simply refuse to be categorized by standards not our own. Every civilization must chart its own evolutionary course." The Varith representative, a subdued Thelix, spoke next. "The Collective has reevaluated its methodologies. Human quantum manipulation techniques have demonstrated that our understanding of biological efficiency was ... incomplete." Javier leaned forward. "It wasn't your biology that made you vulnerable to our defense systems. It was your uniformity of thought. When every member of a species thinks along identical pathways, a single counteragent can affect you all. Humanity's inefficient diversity hour, competing ideas. Our individual variations created a quantum approach no single mind could have developed. Felix's eyes shifted through colors slowly. A compelling hypothesis. The collective has begun implementing controlled variation in our development protocols. It is uncomfortable, but necessary for adaptation. The Morgan delegate, a crystalline entity that communicated through light patterns, pulsed brightly. The humans have proven what many of us suspected, that the Verith methodology of categorizing species as viable or non-viable was fundamentally flawed. Evolution is not a linear progression toward a single optimal state. Rohan nodded. Which brings us to the purpose of this gathering. Earth proposes the establishment of a stellar accord, not a hierarchical structure like the Verith. Collective, but a cooperative alliance of sovereign civilizations. Each contributes according to their unique evolutionary path, and each retains the right to self-determination. Discussion erupted around the table. Some species, long subjugated by Verith evaluation protocols, expressed skepticism about any galactic organization. Others, seeing opportunity and cooperation, advocated for immediate implementation. Javier watched the debate with a scientist's fascination. The quantum harmonics that had disrupted Verith biology had led him to a deeper understanding. Consciousness itself varied between species in ways that created unique vibrational patterns at the quantum level. These patterns could interact constructively or destructively, a physical manifestation of cooperation or conflict. When the debate reached an impasse, Javier stood. May I demonstrate something? At the assembly's assent, he activated a small device on the table. A three-dimensional projection appeared, a complex, shifting pattern of light representing the quantum signatures of each species present. This is us, he explained. Not as biological entities, but as patterns of consciousness and energy. Notice how each species creates a unique signature, yet all exist within the same quantum framework. The projection shifted, showing how the patterns could align or clash. When we impose uniformity, the pattern collapsed into a single, pulsing light. We become vulnerable. But when we maintain our diversity while finding points of resonance, the patterns realigned. Creating a harmonious, complex structure, we create something stronger than any individual pattern could achieve. The assembly fell silent, watching the representation of their collective consciousness merge and separate, maintaining individuality while finding harmony. This is the principle behind the stellar accord, Rohan concluded. Not assimilation or dominance, but resonance across difference. One by one, the representatives signaled their agreement. Even Felix, after a moment's hesitation, joined the consensus. As the historic session concluded, Javier stepped to a viewport overlooking Earth's a blue-green planet that had nearly been categorized as insignificant by cosmic standards. Rohan joined him, a rare smile breaking through his diplomatic composure. Not bad for an inefficient species, Rohan remarked. Javier watched as the first interstellar embassy ships established orbit around Earth, the beginning of humanity's true integration into the galactic community. Our inefficiency was always our greatest strength, he replied. We just needed to prove it to ourselves as much as to them. In the vastness of space beyond, countless civilizations awaited discovery, each with their own unique evolutionary path, and humanity, once nearly deemed non-viable, would meet them not as conquerors or subjects, but as equals in the grand cosmic dance of existence.